Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour. CP Radhakrishnan elected as India's new Vice President defeats opposition candidate B. Sudarshan Reddy by a margin of 152 votes. Prime Minister Modi conducts aerial survey of flood-hit areas of Punjab and Himachal Pradesh, announces financial assistance for both states. Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli resigns after deadly protests. Angry mobs set fire to houses of top political leaders in Kathmandu. Israel strikes Hamas leaders in Qatar's capital Doha. Prime Minister Netanyahu's office says it was entirely an Israeli operation. Qatar condemns the attack. And Thailand's former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra sent to jail after country's top court rules that his hospital stay was unjustified. Nepal is witnessing its biggest civic uprising in recent history. What began as online dissent turned into violent street protests, forcing Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli to resign. At least 19 people are dead, more than 300 injured, and many government institutions attacked. DD India's Shweta Singh reports from Kathmandu on how the unrest unfolded.
It all started with a ban on social sites. On September 4, the Nepalese government ordered the shutdown of 26 prominent social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. But the move backfired. By September 6, a viral hashtag #NepoKid trend on TikTok and Reddit erupted in Nepal, exposing and mocking the lavish lifestyles of politicians' children in sharp contrast with the struggles of ordinary citizens. The anger spilled offline. On September 8, thousands of young Nepalis hit the streets. Protesters breached parliament premises, forcing authorities to impose curfews. The same day, Home Minister Ramesh Lekhek resigned. The protest continued to escalate. By September 9, demonstrators set fire to the private residences of President Ramchandra Paudel and Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. They torched the Supreme Court, Special Court and Kathmandu District Court. Hours later, Prime Minister Oli stepped down, bringing an end to his tenure but not the unrest. At least 19 people were killed and over 300 others injured during the violent protest. Kathmandu mayor and popular rapper Balendra Shah has urged Gen Z protesters to remain calm. But behind the slogans are deep frustrations: lack of jobs, economic dependence on remittances, and widening inequality. The unrest follows years of political churn since the monarchy was abolished in 2008, with 13 governments taking office in less than 2 decades. Fed up with the burning issues like unemployment and corruption, Nepal's Gen Z eagerly await some transformation, which can provide them some ray of hope. Shweta Singh in Kathmandu, Bureau Report, DD India.
In view of the situation in Nepal, India has issued an advisory for its citizens there. Indian citizens are advised to defer travel there until the situation has stabilized. Indian citizens presently in Nepal are advised to shelter in their current places of residence, avoid going out onto the streets, and exercise all due caution. They are also advised to follow local safety advisories from Nepal's authorities as well as the Embassy of India in Kathmandu. In case of any assistance required, Indian citizens can call the Embassy of India in Kathmandu on the following helpline numbers: +977 980 860 2881 and +977 981 032 6134. I repeat, +977 980 860 2881 and +977 981 032 6134. And DD India Shweta Singh joins us from Kathmandu. Shweta, what's the situation like in the Kathmandu Valley as we speak?
Ramchandran, you say curfew is ongoing until further notice. President rule is there. But because it's night and Nepalis do sleep early, so now there is quietness in the air. But the smoke that was rising from evening, yet that dark black smoke one can feel in the air here, because so many buildings have been torched, tires burnt on the road. That smell, stench is yet in the air. And the demonstrator, we have to wait for tomorrow to see youth what they are going to take, again coming on street, or they are going to accept President Ramchand Paudel request to be calm and allow all political parties to come up with a peaceful solution. So I think tomorrow rising sun gives some hope, expecting things will be better.
Or I will leave you there for now. Shweta Singh in Kathmandu. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on to other news, we are tracking here on DD India Newshour. Prime Minister Modi visited the states of Himachal Pradesh and Punjab on Tuesday to assess the devastation caused there by floods. He conducted aerial surveys, met affected families and chaired high-level review meetings. Financial aid packages worth thousands of crores of rupees were announced for both states. The Prime Minister assured full support from the government for relief and rehabilitation.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday conducted an aerial survey of flood-affected areas in Himachal Pradesh and Punjab. Both states have suffered major losses. Over 460 people have died in Himachal Pradesh, while around 51 people have lost their lives in Punjab. After surveying flood-hit regions of Himachal Pradesh, including Mandi and Kullu, the Prime Minister chaired a review meeting in Kangra. PM Modi announced a financial assistance of rupees 1500 crore for Himachal Pradesh, including the early release of the second installment of the State Disaster Response Fund and PM Kisan Samman Nidhi. He met families affected by the disaster and announced an ex gratia of rupees 2 lakh for the next of kin of the deceased and rupees 50,000 for the seriously injured. In Punjab also, PM Modi interacted with affected families, expressed deep sorrow for their loss and expressed solidarity with them. Ex gratia payments of rupees 2 lakh to the families of the deceased and rupees 50,000 to the injured were also announced in Punjab. PM also announced rupees 1600 crore in aid for Punjab in addition to rupees 12,000 crore already allocated. Prime Minister also met with relief teams and NDRF personnel engaged in rescue and relief works. Ravindra Chauhan's report for DD India.
The National Democratic Alliance or NDA candidate and Maharashtra Governor CP Radhakrishnan has won the vice presidential election. He defeated the opposition candidate, former Supreme Court Judge B. Sudarshan Reddy. Radhakrishnan got 452 first preference votes, while Reddy secured only 300 first preference votes.
As all of you are aware, the value of votes for the presidential election is 1. Shri Bucci Reddy Sudarshan Reddy has secured 300 first preference votes and Shri CP Radhakrishnan has secured 452 first preference votes. As the first preference votes secured by Shri CP Radhakrishnan was greater than the requisite quota, in pursuance of provisions contained in Section 11 of the Presidential and Vice Presidential Elections Act 1952, 31 of 1952, read with Rule 35 of the Presidential and Vice Presidential Election Rules 1974, I, P.C. Modi, the returning officer for the Vice Presidential Election 2025, hereby declare that Shri C.P. Radhakrishnan, Jal Bhushan, Raj Bhavan, Walkeshwar Road, Malabar Hill, Mumbai, has been duly elected to the office of Vice President of India.
And celebrations broke out in Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu as local BJP cadres marked the victory of C.P. Radhakrishnan, the NDA candidate elected as the Vice President of India. Headed by Coimbatore City BJP President Ramesh Kumar, party members gathered at Gandhipuram to share sweets with the public and express their joy over the result. Earlier on Tuesday, on behalf of Coimbatore City BJP, National Mahila Morcha President and MLA Vanatri Srinivasan offered special prayers at Vinayanagar Temple in Puliyakulam. And Prime Minister Modi congratulated C.P. Radhakrishnan on winning the vice presidential election. In a social media post, the Prime Minister praised Radhakrishnan's lifelong dedication to public service. He wrote, and I quote, "Congratulations to Thiru C.P. Radhakrishnan ji on winning the 2025 vice presidential election. His life has always been devoted to serving society and empowering the poor and marginalized. I'm confident that he will be an outstanding VP who will strengthen our constitutional values and enhance parliamentary discourse," unquote. And now let's have a look at the political journey of C.P. Radhakrishnan. C.P. Radhakrishnan is a seasoned Indian politician who began his career at the age of 16. He was appointed the Secretary of BJP Tamil Nadu in 1996. In 98, he was elected Coimbatore MP. He won by over 1.5 lakh votes versus the DMK. He was re-elected the Coimbatore MP in 1999 when he won by 55,000 votes against the CPI. In 2003, he addressed the United Nations on disaster relief coordination. In 2004, he led the BJP Tamil Nadu as the state president and held a Rath Yatra as well. In 2004, he lost the Coimbatore Lok Sabha election to CPI's K. Subbarayan. In 2012, he was arrested in Metupalayam for protesting the RSS attack in action. In 2014, he secured 3.89 lakh votes in Coimbatore and stood second in the Lok Sabha election. In 2014, he joined India's first parliamentary delegation to Taiwan. Between 2016 and 2020, he was the COIR board chairperson. COIR exports hit more than 2,500 crores. He lost the Coimbatore election in 2019 to CPIM's PR Natarajan. Between 2020 and 2022, BJP All India in charge for Kerala, he boosted the party's reach there. In 2023, he was appointed Jharkhand governor, engaged all 24 districts. In 2024, he took charge as Telangana governor as well as Puducherry's lieutenant governor. And 2024 to present, he was serving as the governor of Maharashtra. Still to come on DD India Newshour. Norway's ruling Labour Party wins re-election. And France's Prime Minister François Bayrou resigns after losing confidence vote.
This week on Defense Dynamics, from choke points to commands, the Indo-Pacific is on the edge. India and Singapore forge the Indo-Pacific shield. Can deterrence hold at sea lanes? GST 2.0, when tax reforms fuels combat readiness. China's Dragon Parade dazzles with power. What lies beneath the camouflage paint? And India's theatre commands are not an option but a necessity. Catch it all on Defence Dynamics this Wednesday at 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Multiple explosions rocked Doha on Tuesday in what Israel has confirmed was a targeted strike against senior Hamas leaders. The Israel Defense Forces and the Shin Bet Security Agency claim responsibility for it, marking the first known Israeli strike on Qatari soil. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel takes full responsibility for the strikes, calling it an independent military action. The Hamas accused Israel of trying to assassinate its negotiators, including Khalil al-Hayya, who had met Qatari officials just a day earlier. Qatar, a key mediator in ceasefire and hostage talks, condemned the strike, calling it a cowardly assault and a violation of international law that endangers its security and residents. And UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has strongly condemned Israel's strike on Hamas leaders in Doha, calling it a flagrant violation of Qatar's sovereignty and territorial integrity. He urged all sides to focus on achieving a permanent ceasefire, not further destruction.
We are just learning about the Israeli attacks in Qatar, a country that has been playing a very positive role to achieve a ceasefire and release of all hostages. I condemn this flagrant violation of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Qatar. All parties must work towards achieving a permanent ceasefire, not destroying it.
And DD India's Vinod joins us from Dubai for more. Vinod, what more can you tell us?
Ramesh, let's cut the long story short. This attack on Doha is clearly related to the Gaza operation that Israel has been conducting from October 7th of 2023. After October 7th of 2023, Israel attacked Gaza, and there were majorly two main ceasefires, one in November of 2023 as well as in January of 2025. But broadly, both of these ceasefires were a failure, and they halted. A couple of days back, US President Donald Trump has made an announcement that there is going to be a ceasefire soon, and he put forward a proposal of a ceasefire in which 48 hostages will be released in exchange of Palestinian prisoners. This was taken seriously by Israel and Hamas. And in between, amidst these discussions were happening, yesterday there were a terrorist attack, probably from the Hamas side in Jerusalem, and to quote-unquote Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister, all hell broke loose with it. So he today gave a bye to media, saying that he had an operational opportunity. This operational opportunity was this ceasefire negotiation that Trump had proposed, and these people, the Hamas leaders, including Khalil al-Hayya, Mohammed Jarvish, the head of the Shura Council, they were having a meeting at Qatar. Why Qatar? Because Qatar was always a neutral partner and a neutral mediator for the ceasefires between Hamas and Israel, both in November 2023 and 2025, along with Egypt and the United States. So this was the operational opportunity that the Prime Minister of Israel was mentioning, and probably he located the place and charged with his missiles. Till now, we do not have any confirmed official reports that fatalities are there, but there are some reports, unconfirmed reports, suggesting that these mediators escaped unscathed. And till now, Israel has refrained from attacking Qatar for multiple reasons. Lebanon was always at the front of Israel's receipt of attacks, but this was a geopolitical and diplomatic strategy of Israel not to attack Qatar, because Qatar was neutral, and it would have been a politically and military a costly affair. And they have also positioned itself as a mediator, leveraging its neutral stance. And there were major ceasefires in 2014, 2021, and 2023-25. This would have disrupted these mediation efforts. Additionally, Qatar has a strong security base provided by the United States. Even though Qatar was attacked at its Al Udeid Air Force Base by Iran. In June 2025, there was an advance warning by Iran, but this time this came as a complete surprise. And this is actually the moment in which the Gaza war has completely spilled out of Gaza, and it has gone broader to the West Asia. And Qatar's financial support to Gaza, even though controversial, was the one which was stabilizing Gaza population without going to a complete humanitarian collapse. This was the last incentive, but after this Jerusalem attack, which happened yesterday, Benjamin Netanyahu had issued a warning for all evacuation of Gaza residents from today for a complete military takeover. Mind it, Gaza is having a population of close to 1 million people. So this attack at Doha is completely unprecedented and quite surprising to the diplomatic analyst.
Indeed, unprecedented and surprising, says Vinod. Before we let you go, Vinod, one quick question as well. What did Qatar and some other countries in the region have to say about these strikes?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
What did Qatar and other countries in the region have to say about the latest strikes?
Yes. See, Qatar belongs to the Gulf Cooperation Council. Gulf Cooperation Council has issued a statement. Again, they, quote unquote, they stated in the statement that they are completely surprised and they're strongly condemning this attack. Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, had directly made a phone call to the Emir of Qatar, and Arab League has also issued a condemnation statement, the United Nations condemnation statement we just listened online. And more importantly, the place where I report from, Sheikh Abdullah bin Nahyan Al Zayed, the foreign minister of UAE, has also condemned, and he urged the international community to come together and UN to assume the legal and moral responsibilities to deter further attacks for the path of continued peace here. So more and more responses are coming from the international community, and let's hope that this spillover will not be big like what had happened in Lebanon.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Vinod in Dubai, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, Thailand's political theatre has taken yet another dramatic turn. Former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, once the face of populist politics and a deeply polarizing figure, is headed back to prison. The country's top court has ruled that his extended hospital stay was a ploy to avoid jail.
Thailand's former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra was sent to jail on Tuesday after court ruled that his stay in hospital was unjustified. The 76-year-old billionaire spent just hours in prison upon returning from 15 years of self-exile in 2023 before being moved to a hospital citing heart trouble. His 8-year sentence was later commuted to 1 year by the king, and he walked out on parole after only 6 months, all of it in a hospital's VIP wing. His daughter and protege, Paetongtarn Shinawatra, who herself was dismissed as Prime Minister earlier, said that the family remains in good spirits.
Today is another historic day where he is the first ex-Prime Minister to go to jail. It weighs heavy. However, we remain in good spirits, both my father and our family.
As Shinawatra faces jail, let's take a look at his political rise and fall. Thaksin Shinawatra entered politics in 1994 and founded the Thai Rock Thai in 1998. He swept elections in 2001 and 2005 with populist policies like universal healthcare. Business deals and corruption allegations sparked protests in Bangkok. Then he was ousted in 2006 military coup after the Shin Kwo sale scandal. The Thai Rock Thai was then dissolved and senior leaders were banned. Thaksin Shinawatra fled Thailand in 2008 and was sentenced in absentia and stripped of rank and assets. Thaksin Shinawatra returned from exile in 2023. He was briefly jailed and then hospitalized. Outside the court, loyal supporters clad in symbolic red shirts carried roses and placards voicing solidarity, even as the Supreme Court's ruling signaled a rare moment of accountability for the former strongman.
I feel unease because he has done so much for the country, but he still has to face punishment. That's why I'm not at ease. I want to see justice, but I also have to respect the court's order.
For Thaksin Shinawatra, this marks not just a return to prison, but a reckoning with a legacy that continues to divide Thailand's politics nearly 2 decades after his fall from power. Bureau Report.
Norway's minority Labour Party won a second term in power on Monday, while the populist right achieved its best ever election result in a ballot dominated by concerns over rising living costs and conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza. Incumbent Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Stere's Labour and 4 smaller left-leaning parties won 87 seats, above the 85 needed for a majority, with 99% of ballots counted. Stere will remain heavily reliant on his smaller allies in order to pass major legislations such as fiscal budgets. France has entered a new phase of political suspense after Prime Minister François Bayrou lost a confidence vote and resigned. The search for stability begins now, and the choices made in the coming days could reshape the country's future. DD India's Rohini Gosavi has more from Paris.
France's government has finally collapsed after French Prime Minister François Bayrou lost his confidence vote in parliament. He is the third Prime Minister to resign in just 1 year. Many French people feel some relief. Some are celebrating Bayrou's exit. But question remains, what next? What will President Macron will do now? What are his choices? Right now he has 3 choices. The first one, to appoint a new Prime Minister from his own party. But the parliament is split, and a leader from the same party might also be rejected quickly. Macron could instead look to another party, maybe the Socialists or the Greens, to build a bigger coalition. Some experts say he might even choose a neutral figure, not to link to any party, to calm things down and handle the budget. The second option, to dissolve parliament and call new elections. That would send voters back to the polls in few weeks. But this is risky for Macron, because far-right leader Marine Le Pen is strong in the polls. If her party wins, Macron would have to share power with his biggest rival. And third option, to keep Bayrou in place as caretaker Prime Minister. He would only handle daily government work until a long-term solution is found. Adding to this pressure, there will be nationwide protest. These protests were meant to oppose Bayrou's budget earlier. But now, with Bayrou's exit and there will be no government to protest against, people will march to demand Macron's resignation. A big turnout will show the public's anger and could push Macron to act faster. For now, France is waiting. Protest could put pressure on Macron and affect his future decisions. And how he will react will decide the future of government. This is Rohini Gosavi in Paris for DD India.
India and Sri Lanka signed a memorandum of understanding for the construction of an accident and emergency unit at the District General Hospital in Mannar, backed by a grant of 600 million Sri Lankan rupees. The MOU was signed by Indian High Commissioner Santosh Jha and Health Secretary Dr. Anil Jaisinghe in the presence of Health Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa. The project will see the construction of a 2-story unit and supply of medical equipment addressing a critical gap in emergency care. India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has confirmed on Tuesday that negotiations for the India-European Union Free Trade Agreement are moving swiftly, with nearly 60% of the chapters completed and finalized.
The chief negotiators were discussing, and I think they are both working very, very actively to converge on different parts of the agreement. Almost 60-65% of the chapters also are now completed and finalized. By the time my counterpart, Mr. Maros Sharkovich, the EU Trade Commissioner, and Mr. Christoph, the EU Agriculture Commissioner, come to India, I think we'll be quite set to try and conclude the agreement substantially.
According to the Future of Jobs Report 2025 released by the World Economic Forum, India has posted the lowest unemployment rate across all G20 nations at just 2%. Labour and Employment Minister Mansukh Mandavia shared the figures in New Delhi, framing them as evidence of a resilient job market and expanding workforce opportunities. In India, industries such as robotics and artificial intelligence are making major investments which are likely to transform the nature of jobs. According to the report, India will see the fastest growth in fields such as big data specialists, AI, machine learning specialists, and security management professionals. The report also shows that 67% of Indian companies are prioritizing diverse talent, while the global average is just 47%. Apart from this, the trend of Indian companies has now moved towards skill-based recruitment process, and they are reducing the requirement of degrees. On the technical front, 96% of Indian organizations are already implementing AI programs, which is higher than the global average of 88%. Also, India and the US rank top in generative AI training. The World Economic Forum has warned that aging populations in high-income countries are shrinking the workforce, while growing working populations in countries such as India will make a significant contribution to the future global economy. India will not only emerge as a major force in the global economy, but will also become a leading center for employment generation and technological innovation. And still to come on DD India News Hour. An expert take on deadly Nepal protests. Where does the young Himalayan Republic go from here? Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Going back to the top story, Nepal's Prime Minister resigns in the wake of deadly protests, plunges the country into deeper chaos. Joining us to put the Nepal developments in their proper context for you is Ambassador Manjeev Singh Puri. Ambassador Puri is a former Indian envoy to Nepal. Ambassador Puri, welcome to DD India News Hour. Now, what just happened in Nepal? How did a protest against a ban on social media lead or morph into ouster of the government?
Question. This protest is the outcome of a very long-standing sense of frustration among young people, the economy not going places, the political space being in a sense, completely taken over by three leaders, Mr. Oli, Mr. Sheikh Bahadur Dioba and Mr. Prachand, managing everything among themselves and not leaving much space available within the parliamentary system for even talking about political issues and matters pertaining to the people. The entire issue of social media also needs to be seen in the context of the kind of society Nepal is. Now, with more than 25% of its citizenry overseas and across the world, in the Americas, in Europe, in the Gulf, in Latin America, in Southeast Asia, etc., and the need for connectivity, frustrations being outed using social media. So when you ban it, it was not just the thin edge of a wedge, but it was really a steep wedge. People went out on the streets, they were mobilized easily, and then something very, very crucial happened. The police and the administration misjudged matters, took law into they had law enforcement with a very heavy hand. They opened fire. They killed about 19-20 people. Large numbers of people got injured, and that raised the public anger to a tremendous level. And the public anger, Ramesh, I should stress this, in the community which calls Nepal its country, the Pahari community, the Khas Arya, the Brahmins and the Kshetris of Nepal, those who say Nepal belongs to them, in their community, they suffered the losses. They saw their children in school uniform with bullet holes in their head. This went across the board and they said, look, there will have to be accountability. It's not just good enough of resignations, but you will really have to pay a price because you've hurt us.
Indeed, you spoke about the cost of living crisis made worse by unemployment. You spoke about income inequality and corruption. Could it also be attributed to fatigue and frustration with Nepal's experiments with parliamentary democracy?
Ramesh, I won't say so at all. This Nepal moved to a republic a long time back, 20 years back.
Right.
And it has a system of democracy which we in India don't have, which is a half proportional, a one-third proportional representation, and the other side being first past the post. We in India think first past the post is the only thing. Nobody else in the world has that as a system. No, that's not it. What I would say, however, is that what happened in Nepal was that about a year and a half back, the two largest political parties came together in a coalition. So what happens as a result of this is that the parliamentary space gets completely constricted. If 2/3 are on one side, who is there to protest? Who is there to bring your anger to the table? And this entire vent of parliamentary democracy also goes. This is in fact an important lesson for everybody to take home, that in parliamentary democracies, rather in all democracies, opposition and its functioning in parliament, in Congress, etc., is particularly important because it's an important vent for people's ire, at the same time for giving the government a very good idea of the pulse of the people.
Fair enough. Let me ask you a related question then, Ambassador Puri. Nepal transitioned into a democracy beginning with the fall of the monarchy in 2006 and the subsequent election of the Maoist government in 2008. Since then, the new republic has seen a number of prime ministers come and go. This revolving door or musical chairs is not doing Nepal any good, is it? Are systemic solutions necessary now?
Ramesh, I'm not sure I can easily subscribe to this.
Okay.
Italy has had a revolving door prime minister that's a member of the G7. This is a question of being able to get your act together.
Okay.
Of course, there are divisions in Nepali society, and how did this monarchy being abolished come about? As a result of the communist side of the Nepali polity being split. And so you had the Maoists who initially got very large number of votes, but who've been increasingly coming down in terms of their parliamentary share. However, they remain there. So it teaches you that you need to have coalitions, you need to work in it, but at the same time, the opposition needs to be strong. This is something that is particularly important. Remember, it's a young society which has now experienced globalization the first time in its history, but experienced it with a vengeance, with so many people being overseas. So there is a kind of natural empowerment in the society, a weakish economy. When you take all of that, it's always a situation in which the people feel frustrated. And once you remove the ability of being able to do much politically, otherwise you would have political instability, the governments would change, they would have rotating doors, at least things went on. This time the people felt they had nothing to do because the entire parliament had gone ahead with taken away their one source of venting themselves, which was social media.
Ambassador Puri, do you sense a nostalgia for constitutional monarchy? Could former King Gyanendra make a comeback?
Ramesh, I should be very honest with you. This is a thought which only occurs to people in India.
Okay.
Even when the so-called pro-monarchy demonstrations happened, the number of people on that side was not few, not many.
Right.
The pro-monarchy parties have hardly garnered any seats in the elections that have taken place in 2017. However, that doesn't mean what is the outcome of this particular upheaval. The Prime Minister has been ousted. The politicians, the cohort of Mr. Prachanda, Mr. Dioba and Mr. Oli stand discredited in public eyes. What kind of a way forward can be found? Would there be some kind of a role for the king? I don't know the answers to all that.
Okay.
But frankly, Nepalese are wedded to democracy. They like the idea of, and in fact, in a way, if I may say so, this public protest is also a symbol of democracy, of course, with a vengeance, in a manner which we don't like, which is, mobs taking over and doing things not good at all. But it also shows you that there is public participation and the public wants. Nobody has a magic wand to solve Nepal's problems.
Fair enough.
Let's be very clear. If the monarchy had the problems, they wouldn't have been ousted.
Indeed, fair enough. Point taken, Ambassador. Now, looking ahead, what does the Constitution of Nepal say happens now? A new government from the existing parliament, or dissolution of parliament, a snap election maybe, or a caretaker government?
So caretaker government has already been announced. That's norm in all democracies. The thing is, ideally, the constitution would demand that the parliament elect its own leader. In some senses, something can happen. But the situation is that there is a public perception of, out with the current establishment. And so, therefore, the president, which is Ramchandra Paudarji, who is a seasoned politician, between him and, I dare say, the army chief, who, without being very much in the forefront, certainly would have been a very important figure at the back, and some other politicians, including younger people, who people say are, in some senses, those who are pushing these ideas of the young people on the ground, Balan Shah, the mayor, Ravi Lami Chame, who has been released from jail, all of them. I hope all of the younger people, the younger political leaders, even some of the older ones who haven't been formed part of this trinity of those who've been running the country, come together, work together, because essentially the people of Nepal, I'm sure, would like a degree of stability. They know that there can't be a government which can provide a magic wand. But on the other hand, they do want a degree of accountability, because what has happened is that their people, i.e. leaders elected from within them, have hurt them very badly. The sight of young children being brutalized, killed, lying in hospitals, that has truly devastated and hurt the community. And that also requires a healing balm.
Indeed. Looking at it from an Indian perspective now, Ambassador Puri, KP Sharma Oli, we are told, was rabidly anti-India. So how would New Delhi be looking at his ouster?
So Ramesh, when you say that, he was Prime Minister throughout my time there. We had Prime Minister Modi visit Nepal twice. We had the oil pipeline built. The ICP is done. So, and I know what you are talking about. These are general references. His politics towards the last 10 years of his life was taking advantage of an anti-India stance. The blockade gave him an opportunity. True. So let's look at the so-called foreign hand business. The Chinese, would they be happy? I don't think so. We had nothing to do with this. Look, we were dealing with Oli. There was supposed to be a visit taking place now. We had the Nepali Congress as part of it. Yes, let's also remember that the last 20 years in Nepal have seen quite a growth, not just of globalization, but of Western influences, the church, the Europeans, etc. And if I may use your channel to just say something, woke may have gone out of fashion within the Western countries, but it seems the Nepalese are reacting to woke in some sense or the other, I might say so. But I want and hope that good sense would prevail among the leaders who are there, even the younger people, the army chief at the back, the president himself, and try and say, look, we are going through a critical phase. We all need to come together. We need to address what the students are saying. We need to feel the pulse of the people, and we need to address it. And above all, we all need to work in a degree of solidarity, understanding, and if I may use this word, empathy for the people.
I'm afraid that's all we have time for on this broadcast. I'll have to leave it at that. Ambassador Puri, thank you once again for joining us and sharing your perspectives with our viewers in India, Nepal, and around the world. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated. Right, moving on, Textile Minister Giriraj Singh termed the recent additional tariffs imposed by US President Donald Trump as a transit phase for the apparel industry. He expressed confidence in India's apparel sector to meet the global trade headwinds with resilience. He said this while speaking to small exporters from the textiles industry in New Delhi on Tuesday. Minister Singh said India's textile sector is well positioned to turn current challenges into stepping stones for sustained growth in the global marketplace.
मिले थे बड़े एक्सपोर्टर्स से, आज मैं छोटे एक्सपोर्टर्स से मिला। उनमें ज़्यादा हिम्मत है, जज्बा है कि वो नए मार्केट की ओर दौड़ सके। एक ट्रांजिट फेज हमारे लिए जरूर है। मैं इसको कबूलता हूँ कि जहाँ हम कंफर्ट जोन में चले गए थे हमारे लोग, उनके लिए एक ट्रांजिट फेज है। हमने कोविड में देखा और हम कोविड को भी झेले हैं। हमने कभी भारत के इकोनॉमी को गिरने नहीं दिया और इसको भी देखे हैं। अगर हम आत्मनिर्भर भारत में डोमेस्टिक मार्केट इतना जबरदस्त है कि हमें कोई चिंता नहीं है, न किसी का रोजगार जाएगा बल्कि हम रोजगार को बढ़ाएंगे।
The minister also spoke about the roadmap devised to chart a future-oriented strategy for the sector, identifying new global markets for exports.
ये एक ट्रांजिट फेज है। एक तो हमारे एक्सपोर्टर ने, जैसा कि मुझे जानकारी है, 60-70% एक्सपोर्ट कर चुके हैं जो उनके पास ऑर्डर था, और अभी हमने 40 देशों को चिन्हित किया है जिसका टेक्सटाइल का इंपोर्ट $600 बिलियन का है। जर्मनी है, जापान है, फ्रांस है, कई देश हैं, इंग्लैंड है, 27 देश तो यूरोपियन है, कई देश हैं। तो हम उस पर अपने एम्बेसी के साथ मिलके काम कर रहे हैं। एक क्षणिक ट्रांजिट फेज है, ये दूर हो जाएगा।
In a bid to bolster confidence among India's micro, small and medium enterprises, the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry hosted a roundtable titled Empowering MSMEs Risk Ready to Navigate Market Uncertainty. Speaking on the occasion, Atish Kumar Singh, Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, said that MSMEs need not worry as the government is firmly behind them to fully support it. The roundtable also deliberated on the GST 2.0 for MSMEs posed imposition of 50% tariff by the US. At the Automotive Skills Development Council Annual Conclave 2025 held in New Delhi, the deep tech firm Cream Collar and the Automotive Skills Development Council launched a white paper titled Skilling and Capability Development for AI-powered software-defined vehicle enterprise. India, now the largest player in the global automotive sector and contributing a staggering 15% to the nation's GDP, stands at a crossroads of a technological revolution. The paper addresses the urgent skills gap caused by AI and software-defined vehicles, offering a data-backed roadmap for suppliers, educators and policymakers to build a future-ready workforce. Web series Bindiya Ke Bahubali has come up with its first season on OTT platform and is winning hearts, especially in metro cities. In exclusive chat with DD India's Deepika, the star cast of the web series shared interesting insights and the revolution of content consumption across India. Not only this, Chrome Data Analytics and Media CEO Pankaj Krishna shared important numbers on how OTT transformation is unfolding across sectors.
We have with us the cast of Bindiya Ke Bahubali. First, let's talk to the director. Amitji, when we talk about Bindiya Ke Bahubali, you've previously also given so much to the industry, to the film industry, and especially to the web series. What led you to pick up this term, Bindiya Ke Bahubali?
Well, first of all, Bindiya is a fictional city, and the word in Hindi represents reputation and everybody what we consider to be sort of respect for us as human beings.
Precious.
Precious, right? Bindiya. So to name a city that and create a universe there was sort of a starting point. And then Bahubali as a word represents all the crazy characters that we have. In a way that every human being wants to be a gangster.
In the world of gangsters, how do you think playing the role of a cop, how do you justify that?
Very interesting. And Murli Manjhi DSP हैं जो बिंदिया में क्लीन अप के लिए आते हैं, क्या कर पाते हैं क्या नहीं कर पाते हैं, that's for you to see in the show. But very cool customer. I think that's the only phrase that comes to mind for Murli Manji.
How do you see the transition from cinema, first of all from cinema screens to television and then to OTT platform?
Well, I have never really considered them different. For me, filmmaking is just one. How it's distributed, whether it is seen in cinema halls, whether it's seen at home on TV screens or consumed on your handheld device, I have never really considered those factors. I look at great stories to tell, great scripts, the way the story is told, great parts, good directors. These are the things that matter to me.
And Pankaj, when we talk about it, putting them in numbers and making them interesting, it's altogether a different game ball. How do you see the changing landscape?
I think the landscape is now completely moving towards digital to a great extent. That is not to say that cable and satellite is dead. Cable and satellite has declined, but free dish, for example, is continuously growing, which is through the cable mode, yet it is free for consumption. India is a free market. Free dish has crossed 65 million in India, crossed 64, touching 65 million. Cable and satellite is quite stagnant but is degrowing relative to digital, because digital you've got multiple explosions, Facebook, you've got Google, they're continuously growing. So in terms of revenues, today digital stands at almost 900 billion rupees, which is 90,000 crores, with TV at about 70% of that. So having said that, habits die hard. TV is here to stay for a while, not forever. Digital is there for a longer time.
The northeastern Indian state of Assam has begun its year-long birth centenary celebrations of legendary singer, composer and filmmaker Bhupen Hazarika. The Inland Waterways Authority of India launched Bistirna Paror, a musical voyage from Sadia to Dhubri to mark the birth centenary of Bharat Ratna Dr. Bhupen Hazarika. DD India's Shubina Roy reports.
Or the bard of Brahmaputra, Bharat Ratna Dr. Bhupen Hazarika was born on September 8, 1926 in Sadia, Assam.
Bistirna parare ahankha janare hahakar huniu nikhabde nirabe budha luit tumi budha luit buakiya.
At the age of 10, he recorded his first song at All India Radio, Kolkata. An early influence of cultural icons like Roop Kaur Jyoti Prasad Agarwala and Kalaguru Vishnu Prasad Prabha, along with his mother's musical upbringing at home, laid the foundation of Dr. Hazarika's later artistic journey. It was this desire to learn that made him excel at Cotton College, Banaras Hindu University, and took him to the US, where he met Paul Robeson. Robeson's 1927 song Old Man River became the inspiration for Hazarika's iconic composition Bistirno Parore.
Bistirno parore ahankha janare hahakar huniu nikhabde nirabe budhaluit tumi budhaluit buakiya.
Bhupen Hazarika was born at Sadia, and he has very much ties with the waterways, and we are associated with the waterways with the inspiration of our Honorable Minister Sri Sarbananda Sunwal sir. We are taking this initiative, and one boat actually named as Brahmaputra Pearl, and this is beginning from Sadia, and its journey stopped at then Guijan, and then it's coming to this place, Bogibil.
To commemorate the birth centenary of Bhupen Hazarika, the Inland Waterways Authority of India launched a unique cultural initiative titled Bistirno Parore, a musical voyage from Sadia to Dhubri on 8 September. The voyage was flagged off from Gujan Ghat in Sukia, followed by a cultural ceremony at Bogibil in Dibrugarh. The event marks the beginning of a river journey along the Brahmaputra in memory of Hazarika, featuring a cultural troupe and a musical band named Band of Three, who will be travelling on board. popularly known as the Bard of Brahmaputra. Bharat Ratna Dr. Bhupen Hazarika's music was deeply inspired from the lifeline of Assam, that is Brahmaputra. His song Bistirno Parore deeply reflected the aspirations and struggles and unity among the people of Assam. With DDK Dibrugarh team, Subina Roy, DD India.
In a first for the Indian Armed Forces, 10 women officers from the Army, Navy and Air Force will set out on a round-the-world sailing expedition on board the Indian Army sailing vessel Triveni from Gateway of India in Mumbai on Thursday.
Making a milestone in India's maritime journey, Indian Armed Force are first time jointly leading a circumnavigation mission. The team comprises 5 Army officers, 1 Naval officer and 4 Air Force officers. The team over a period of last 2.5 years has undergone a rigorous training regime in every domain, including a training expedition to Seychelles.
Going for a circumnavigation requires a prior training, and you have to be thorough with your boat, the boat vessel that you're taking, and you should have prior skills and expertise on whatever unknown you're going. So we've been training for this particular mission since 3 years. We have practiced on different boats to experience how a water behaves, how wind behaves, because nature, like we all know, is not in our hands. So how the nature behaves in different kind of latitudes, longitudes, then to infer out of it and to make our course.
Army, Air Force and Navy, all 3 services provide opportunities to their officers and other ranks to venture out in other various adventure activities. So there are a lot of adventure activities that all 3 services undertake at their own levels. This is the first time that all three services have come together for one particular cause, that is circumnavigation.
The officers will sail more than 26,000 nautical miles, crossing the equator twice and rounding the 3 great capes, that is Cape Leeuwin, Cape Horn and the Cape of Good Hope. Their voyage will cover all major oceans and some of the most dangerous waters on the planet, including the Southern Ocean and the Drake Passage, testing human resilience against nature's toughest challenges. The expedition is likely to be completed over a period of 9 months by the Indian Army sailing vessel Triveni, which is indigenously built in Puducherry.
This exercise will not only showcase India's growing maritime strength, but also will put the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat and Nari Shakti on world stage. With my colleague Aditya Kasare, I am Yogesh Kumar Sheetal reporting for DD India from Mumbai.
And that's all for this edition of DD India Newshour. You can get the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code that is now on your screens to download it. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Newshour.